This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 532 for the week of Monday, August 13th, 2018. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
And on today's show, very special guest, translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump, we have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
Pretty good. I got my coffee. Oh, I'm already spoiling the secrets that we're recording this early, so we don't have a chapter this week. What are we going to do?
Yeah, well, there you go, breaking that fourth wall like usual.
Mm-hmm.
We also have our...
That's why we call him Stephen Fourth Wall Breaking Paul.
I'm just charging right through it.
Yep. We have a long-time lurker in the background, first-time contributor to the podcast. We have Maddie with us. How's it going, Maddie?
Hey, it's going good.
Nice to finally have you on for an episode, although there is no chapter this week. Yeah, how are you feeling talking about One Piece?
Good, yeah, no, I'm excited.
So, before we get into the
ready.
Yeah, those are both necessary to be part of this podcast. So before we get started, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do today. We're going to talk first about the Reverie, since a lot of people have been asking, hey Zach, what were your thoughts on the Reverie? And by a lot, I mean like 3 people. So we're going to talk about that in kind of a roundtable discussion. We're going to talk about our thoughts on Wano thus far, where we hope it goes, and just to throw in that little extra twist, we're also going to predict when we think it's going to end, and we're all going to be wrong. It's going to be great. And last but not least, we're going to predict the future, Hawkins style, with some tarot reading, and we're going to see where our crew will stand in the year 2000, or the future, whichever comes first. So I think that's just about it. Subscribe to us on Patreon if you haven't, at patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. All of Maddie's great art, the alternate art, is available there. Maddie also has her own Patreon, which you should check out. And I think that's just about it. We also have a double anime recap, hopefully. That'll be coming up later as well. So why don't we get started? You guys ready?
I'm ready.
Yep.
I am.
This is our Reverie Roundtable, which is kind of redundant since the Reverie is a roundtable. Everyone here is still with us. Ed, Steven, Steve, Maddie. The Reverie ended a couple, I guess like over a month ago at this point, or 2 months ago, just about. But we didn't really get a chance to kind of digest it and talk about it and say our opinions about it. It covered...
It didn't really end.
Yeah. It kind of just cliffhangered, and then we never got to go back to it again. So we'll be covering chapters 903 through 908. The last chapter is The Reverie Begins. So that gives you an idea as to how this quote-unquote arc kind of works. I guess we could talk about kind of how we would put this into the storyline generally toward the end. But first, I just want to get general opinions as to how you enjoyed it, on a personal level, and also how you thought Oda kind of handled this, glut of characters and new material and, plot and exposition dumping. I'm going to start with Ed. Yeah.
I'd like to hear from Zach and Maddie first, since we haven't had them give their opinions on this yet.
Maddie, would you like to go first?
Okay, just like in general.
Yeah, your general thoughts.
Yeah, no, it's really cool because one of Oda's strongest points is his world building, and so you kind of, on like a little side note, you get kind of what's going on in the whole world, and you get more about kind of the government and all this stuff. So I thought it was a lot of fun, and of course, just having all the characters come back again was really exciting, and just it was like a big fun reunion party. And I don't know, it's just kind of neat to know what's going on in the background apart from the main Straw Hat adventures. So you can kind of be like, okay, we know all this stuff is going on in the background. When is it gonna, affect what's happening with the Straw Hats?
I guess I was on deck here. There's so much I want to say about the Reverie, but I'll say generally, I really enjoyed it. I think at time, I was trying to figure out how Oda was kind of trying to put forth like the narrative character-wise, because most of the time we're following the Ryugu Kingdom folks, Shirahoshi and crew. Occasionally we're following Rebecca and King Riku, but I found that kind of interesting, especially given what happens at the very end of this arc with a knife through Shirahoshi's picture. And I'm kind of, and also the fact that she's Poseidon and all of that. By the way, there's spoilers in this segment. So narratively, it's kind of disjointed, but there are also like some threads that Oda uses. For example, Shanks kind of ends chapter 903 where he's like, I'm going to meet you soon, Luffy, I guess, since now you're the fifth emperor. And then he comes back. Somehow he gets to Marijoa like in 2 chapters, or I think it's 2 chapters or 3 chapters where he, actually, no, it is 4 chapters. One of the amount of chapters that Shanks somehow shows up at Marijoa and is like, I want to talk about a pirate. And we never find out what that's about either.
It turns out he was just staying at a hotel like a few miles down the beach from Marijoa, and he just walked over. That's how he got there.
I mean, maybe Shanks has like some sort of transportation power. He does seem to always show up in the place where he is most needed.
Right.
To be fair. Yeah. Ed.
I mean, where did he go from to get to the Reverie exactly? I don't remember.
So I was just rereading through everything. He was just on some random island, like a coast of somewhere. It doesn't really say.
Right.
So he could not have been at the top of the red line because he was on the ocean. So he at least climbed the red line. But he could have been in like the Red Port or some other place along there. Or he could have been somewhere completely different and just got there really quickly. So who knows? Yeah, but overall, these chapters, 903 through 908, are probably going to be some of the most important chapters in the One Piece world building aspect, the plot of One Piece. I think that goes without saying. I wrote that One Piece Connection article like 2 or 3 years ago now, with all the information dumped here, even though we don't get very many answers.
Wait a second. No, we recorded that before I graduated from law school. That was 5 years ago.
The One Piece Connection?
I think so.
I think it was 4, maybe. I think I did it after. It's not important.
It was a very long time ago.
I mean, regardless,
still relevant.
Yeah, no, it is relevant, but just given even just the questions and some of the answers we got, I think it would need a huge revision given in light of everything we learned. It was a really big info dump, and I am a fan of info dumps. And I think it was done pretty well. Stephen, what did you think?
Oh man, I'm so conflicted about various elements of it because I feel like it's hard not to feel like there was a little bit of trolling, just in the sense that like he set it up so well as a story arc, like with like there's a lot of jumping around because he fits so much into these chapters, but you do have certain through lines like Sabo showing up and kind of infiltrating with his officers, so they're about to do something big, and obviously the kind of implicit threat of like Stelly and other figures as to like what might come out of the Reverie, whether good or bad, and like the presence of Shirahoshi, like is that what will happen there. And it seemed like he definitely could have, like, if he wanted to, he could have gone ahead and done like a 2 or even 3 volume arc just based on this. But I think on the other hand, it also must be said that while it's not like the anime, which seemingly contractually mandates that the main Straw Hat voice cast must be in every episode. I think it's still kind of a gamble. It's Oda going a little bit out onto the ledge to have a series of chapters where none of the Straw Hats feature in them. And so I don't necessarily blame him, I guess, for cutting it short. But on the same time, I'm also conflicted about kind of like the amount of information that we got, because we got a lot by his by his kind of in between arc standards. Probably the most info dump, but we didn't, it was more questions than answers, really. And so like on the one hand, it's kind of frustrating. It's also kind of tantalizing. And I also kind of feel like, in a sense, I'm also a little bit grateful that he didn't go overboard with that, because one of the fun things about getting these little drips of kind of bigger picture stuff, especially just thinking about Emu and the giant hat, and just kind of the really bizarre mysteries that he raised here, is that he brings them up, and he goes on to do another arc or two or more, and you're just kind of left to let that simmer and just kind of be like, oh, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? And the fact that we don't get a bunch of easy, quick answers, kind of allows us to fully enjoy like the mystery and the suspense that he is building up. Even if some of these are going to get answered, like say by the end of Wano, if we're assuming that the Reverie beginning in the last chapter means that it's going to be kind of unfolding over time as we're reading it. But rather than having it be like, oh, here's a whole bunch of stuff, and then I'm also going to answer it, and it's going to significantly alter kind of the direction of the series as a whole, or it's going to greatly inform like which way we're going towards the end of the series. Or there's so many ways that this could have like kind of taken the story directly down a left turn, and made it something significantly different. So in a way, I'm kind of glad that he just sort of opened those doors and let us peer down into the through them, but did not take us all the way there, so that we have time to wonder what this is about, and let that kind of color our thinking for at least this first arc after it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just it's kind of a whirlwind of information that we got, and it's I'm still kind of processing it in a way.
Ed.
I'm here for the characters, besides all the massive world building. There were so many weird, interesting characters introduced in this, and different sides of characters that we already love. So we have all these different Revolutionary Army captains of Morley, Lindbergh, Karasu, and Bello Betty, and they all have this sort of radical design. And we're sort of introduced to them, and then we're sort of, I guess, a little bit surprised when they show up in Mary Joa. We got all the kings and queens of representing the various different cultural references that Oda wants to get into this arc. And but as for the plot of it all, it really sort of digs deep into like building what's the differing power areas of the the upper world government. What do the five elders want and what exactly is Emu's position within all this? And one of the bigger loose threads that was left on from the arc, I thought, was what was going on with Cobra, and he sort of disappears at the end, and it's not really clear. Well, I mean, they're going to have a meeting, but we never see what the meeting is. And
I mean, Cobra's at the round table. He's at the Reverie, so I mean, we assume it's going to happen after at least the first day of meeting, so we don't really know what's going to happen there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I loved all the interactions between the characters in like the meeting yard. That was a lot of fun, especially with like all the Luffy admiration going on, and Wapol being there too with his wife with her ridiculous laugh. I don't know if you noticed that, Zach, but her laugh is goldig.
Yeah. I think I was there for that one. I can't recall if I was there for that one.
Okay. But yeah, she, like, him being sort of taunting them and also being like left in the dust. That was some really, really funny stuff. And but more than more than anything else, this arc just raises more questions than it really answers. So I'm excited to see where it's going and like who ultimately is going to be going against each other, because we got the people who admire Luffy and we got the revolutionaries. We also have the interesting case of the one celestial dragon who wants to protect Shirahoshi based on what Otohime did for him back then. So, and that was actually a plot thread that I didn't care for previously, but bringing it back here, I think sort of, I guess, well, I mean, it redeems the character, and we get to see what he does from here on out, which is pretty exciting to me. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Steve, what were your general thoughts and how Oda approached it, and just your opinions on the Reverie generally?
I had a good time.
That's good.
I think my sentiments are similar to Ed's. I wasn't going in looking for necessarily questions to be answered. It felt more like a reunion of characters I enjoy. It was almost it's basically Reverie is just a convention, and everyone that doesn't get to see each other much all hang out at this convention. And
Reverie Con, whatever year this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I made the buttons. It was just a lot of fun seeing these characters again. I mean, we've seen them sprinkled throughout in chapters when like the Straw Hats get new bounties, or in the cover stories around the World Series. But it was so great to see them interact again. And Reverie is something along the lines of like Fishman Island. It's been hyped up for a long time, and we're finally getting it. It was, but I think I described it even during those manga recaps. It's pure, or no, because I wasn't even on. I think this was just me posting on Twitter. Like, it's pure fan service, just seeing all these characters again, and some of them interacting for the first time. The manga pages felt like kind of like a breath of fresh air, I think, because there was they skimped on the detail, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It was just, since they're so high up, I guess there's a lot of sky in Marijoa, so I think the pages just had a lot more room to breathe. And there's a lot of interesting developments, of course. As you know, I say I went in not having any questions needing to be answered, but now we have the throne and the five elders and Emu, and that was really cool. You know, just stacking more and more lore and adding more questions to the series. Oda's a madman, but this is why we keep talking about the series. Other than that, I just like I enjoy the world building. I think Burger Ham Lincoln is great addition because he's so ridiculous, but he also feels very deadpan inside the One Piece world. But Vivi having a great moment. This arc made me realize just how great Vivi really is. I mean, I've known she's great, but it's been a while since she's done anything monumental, and her standing up to Lucci is something that always comes to mind when I think back on these chapters. And kind of a swerve too. I really thought that Shirahoshi was going to get kidnapped and just trigger this whole new conflict in the world of One Piece, but it was quickly squashed.
It's nice to get to see Vivi like start an arc, like a story from a position of strength and confidence, rather than like, you know, where we originally saw her, where she had to take back her country. So you get to really see her shine, like in her prime,
and also interact with a character who physically was Luffy's match some chapters ago. It was cool to see her just give you know, just not care about the difference of physical strength. She stood up to Lucci, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, it's also interesting because Vivi is
Waffle. Yeah.
Well, there's also the aspect of the Nefertari family being the family that didn't join the world nobles, and there is definitely animosity towards them because of that. So she's in this sort of special position that she is clearly in a superior position to Lucci. He's a servant of the celestial dragons, and she is actual royalty. So there's different kinds of power, I think, going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Vivi is, like front and center in the first what is that? The first Shonen Jump cover for the Reverie thing. So I mean, she's the only Straw Hat ambassador in this arc. So
she was also on the cover of Volume 82 because she was like the only character that really had a chapter or part of a chapter devoted to saying, "Hey, Vivi's heading to the Reverie." Speaking of her, I do enjoy the Princess Pals, the Luffy fan club. All our favorite princesses: Vivi, Shirahoshi,
Dalton.
No, damn it! You stole my joke. I was gonna say Manchuri, but I forget if Manchuri was kind of involved in that.
She was. Yeah.
Okay, because I remember it being Leo was the one asking like, "You like Luffy land?" Dalton's like, "He's adorable."
It was the littlest princess and the biggest princess had a discussion. Yeah.
Well, that started even further back with
Kobe.
Kobe was there too. Yeah, Kobe and Rebecca.
Yeah, maybe we should kind of do this in some sort of order, because we could really skip around a lot too. So I mean, we're not gonna do recaps of the chapters, because we've done that pretty recently. But we'll do kind of just like the main events and what we kind of thought about it as it developed. I just want to add one more thing though to the discussion we were having. I guess the only thing that really kind of annoyed me about this arc is what Steven was saying, is that Oda just dumps a ton of information on there and it kind of just goes out into an ether. That's kind of why I thought there was going to be at least a little bit more before we got to Wano. It kind of, I don't know if this analogy works completely, but it kind of reminded me of season 2 of Lost, where it's like you get the development of some characters you don't really give too much of a shit about, when at least you didn't know about them. And the main characters aren't as front and center, and there's a lot of lore, and the lore doesn't actually go anywhere necessarily.
That was season 3 of Lost, Zach. That's probably more season 3.
But you were thinking of like, what was it, the tail folks and the hatch stuff?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
I mean,
you're not wrong with the others in season 3 and all that. That doesn't really matter too much.
No, when they're being kept in cages in season 3.
Oh god, that was an awful season. I would not dare. That's the first half of season 3. I would not dare compare the Reverie stuff to that.
All right, there we go. We got it down. Reverie better than Lost season 3.
No, but the last part of Lost season 3 is really good, I think, but the first part is really terrible. So it's this. When they found out that the series was going to end, it got a little bit better. The writer's strike and all that. Anyway, what was I talking about?
Well, anyway, I was going to say, there must be a reason that Oda did it this way. And I feel like that there's going to have to be something happening concurrently with Wano. And he doesn't want to put all this like in the middle of Wano when it happens. So he's like, okay, here's all this stuff to think about. So when something happens later on, you'll be like, oh, okay. Rather than sticking, 10 chapters in the middle of Wano to try and explain all this.
Yeah, and I'm going to get back to it before we finish, but it's kind of the way we left off. It's like you get a huge, like, bombshell at the end of each chapter. I'll just go through each bombshell we get. The first one, Luffy is an emperor worth 1.5 billion berries. The second one, declaring war against the Celestial Dragon, and
big bombshells.
Yeah. Sabo has snuck into the Reverie with Stelly. Ed, anything? Okay, that was true.
I like big bombshells.
Then a shadowy figure takes 2 bounty posters down to an Akira freezer room and sees a giant straw hat. Ed?
Wow.
Thank
Zach,
you.
what do you think about the giant hat?
We'll get there in a minute. There's 2 more. The second to last one is the 5 elders are meeting with Shanks for some reason to discuss a pirate, and and the And the last one are the 5 elders bow to whoever the hell the great emu is, a shadowy figure, and say, have you decided upon another light to be erased from history? Simply state the name you wish stricken. I need Ed reactions just to be recorded for all situations in my life.
It's like watching fireworks.
So, I mean, why don't we just go through each of those bombshells one at a time? Are you guys I mean, I'm not a big bounty person. Is there anyone here who's like super psyched about the 5th? I know a lot of our fans are, so I'm hoping someone here could represent that. The 1.5 billion berry or the 5th emperor status thing.
5th emperor is more important.
Yeah,
really.
I agree with that.
I mean, what's a bounty really? Like Luffy's gonna get captured? Like whatever.
Ooh, who do you think is gonna claim the bounty?
Wouldn't it be funny if someone did? It's like, hey, killed Luffy. I'll take that.
You said dead or alive.
Or dead. I don't. It's like, hey, I'll take that 500 million, whatever the hell he is.
1.5.
1.5, and I'm like, ooh, we don't
just finished building this new headquarters, and
we built this bridge.
It's like an episode
by slaves. Ooh, we shouldn't have said that.
We didn't expect anyone to actually collect 1.5 million McDonald's points on this.
It's like Cowboy Bebop where they get it and then, no, you didn't do it exactly the way we asked you to, but sorry.
No, you got to read the fine print.
There is little fine print that is not in English as far as I could tell on every bounty poster, so. Steve, do you have thoughts on that whole thing besides what we just mentioned?
On Luffy being a 5-co?
Yeah, let's call it that.
5-co.
It was kind of expected, and I do admit I was stupid enough to be fooled by that chapter because it starts with Luffy saying, "Oh, my bounty went down," and I thought, "Well, that's interesting. Why would that be the case?" Not thinking
Luffy's stupid.
Yeah, and he didn't include a few zeros. But he went toe to toe with Big Mom and her crew, her La Familia, and he.
Is that what we're calling them?
Sure, La
That's
Familia.
Capone.
Oh no.
No, you're thinking of the pizza place.
I'm thinking
Biglia?
Spanish.
Is that really pizza? I mean,
No, I guess technically not.
I'm thinking Spanish. Will you stop? Anyway, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. Well, considering the way Big News Morgan's kind of twisted the story around to make it seem like Luffy pretty much won the conflict, it's a no-brainer that his bounty would go up. So, stay in the course, I guess. Bounties aren't power levels, though. Calm down, people.
I mean, I'll add a little bit to this question since it's not a super loaded question. What also happens to kind of take this plot line through this mini arc, we find out that Big Mom and Kaido had some sort of past. They both want to take on Luffy because of what happened here, and kind of dismiss, along with Blackbeard, the 5th Emperor thing kind of out of hand. And then we learn about that Rocks character who is related to Kaido and Big Mom in some fashion. If you guys,
you mean the Yeti Cool Brothers?
That's exactly who I mean. One of the 2 Yeti Cool Brothers was a very famous pirate before Roger. Ed, do you have thoughts on all that? It sounds like a no.
I don't know. This Kaido, this is all like a mystery box. Like it makes me more interested for seeing Big Mom and Wano than anything to do with the Reverie, really. Because I feel like she's on the move. Because it doesn't feel like that's something she does a lot. But now that Luffy has attacked her directly, and people are saying that he sort of won, that she is going to come after him personally, like actually leave her territory, which doesn't seem like she's done a lot lately.
I mean, to be fair, even though she doesn't seem to leave her territory a lot, at least half of the Whole Cake Island arc was her running or flying after Luffy and company and the Straw Hats. Yeah. Steven, what do you think about all
that? Just the Kaido and Big Mom stuff?
Kaido, Big Mom, the bounty, the Emperor thing. That whole
for the first chapter.
line.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was neat, a little bit surprising that that he did kind of spur Big Mom on so quickly. I mean, I guess he was probably trying to maybe reassure people, since we did, just finish the Whole Cake Island arc, and it kind of had this very unconventional ending, and where Big Mom is still alive and well, and he's making it very clear that she is still very much a force to be reckoned with, and she fully intends, like this is him saying, this is Big Mom saying this ain't over. So
no, that's Capone.
Well, I don't know. We'll see about Capone. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, because I guess I would have expected, I mean, I think we always say this, but like there's this kind of expectation. Oh, well, if Big Mom plays a part, it's going to be related to Elbaf. So it's hard to see how that fits in, unless he wants to do a lot more with her than I'm thinking, at least. But so that was kind of what surprised me about all this stuff with her and Kaido, and some kind of hint of a more of a backstory between those two characters. But that was what I found most interesting about all that. The bounty stuff is it's always fun to see the reactions of the crew to the bounty changes. Like, that's the most fun part for me. I really don't I honestly don't care about like the actual numbers or how they compare to other characters,
but it's their power level, Steven.
Yeah.
Who would win in a fight?
Go on.
just
it's
overall,
eternal
everyone.
question.
Maddie, what did you think of all the things that I asked?
I think one of the main themes of the Reverie chapters was Luffy now has like renown. This whole time it's kind of been like, oh, who's this dork in a straw hat? He doesn't look very strong, blah, blah, blah. And now we're finally at a point where everyone's like, oh yeah, we all know who Luffy is. Now he's, one of the big 5 pirates. So I think that's kind of a really important theme. And now, it's a very different feeling around Luffy and around people who see him and react to him.
Yeah, Steve mentioned, I know Steve mentioned when we did the recap itself, but like the chapter where everyone's just gushing over Luffy is so much fun to read. I mean, even though Luffy's not in these chapters, his presence is like so strongly felt. Besides that, the first chapter he is in.
And Luffy's not on screen. Everyone should be asking,
where's Luffy?
Where's Luffy?
So I mean, let's get into since we're talking about bounties, I think we should talk about the 52 million berry man, Captain Peachbeard. What are your thoughts on Captain Peachbeard? Steven, I want your in-depth analysis.
I don't even remember. You didn't put him in the notes here.
I totally forgot that was a character.
Yeah.
He apparently worked for Blackbeard, also, I believe.
I mean, the more important
and Hack is Jinbei's best friend.
Exactly. The most important character you didn't even mention in these notes from this chapter was the girl from Ace's cover story.
Oh yeah, and I don't know if that's the most important, but sure. We know both her parents were chefs. I learned that from a trivia round.
I think we need to do an in-depth analysis of the Orlumbus cover stories.
So
because
actually,
that was really the most important thing.
You're absolutely right. The most amazing part of this is
talking about it all was enough.
The first Orlumbus cover story was the first Reverie chapter. It's 903. And it continues to this day as we speak, sitting here. Let's talk about the Revolutionary Army captains, Morley, Bello Betty, Lindbergh, Karasu, because I guess that's really all there is to talk about in concern with that chapter. I think, is there anything you guys want to mention about them?
They're just sort of gag machines right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think our initial reactions were kind of split on them. Mostly good, but I think if I recall the recap that we had, I think Alex was on that one too. it was sort of like each of us had kind of a favorite, and then at least like one character that we were like, I'm not such a big fan of this one. But it seemed like an inevitable thing to try to flesh out what the Revolutionary Army is. Like, who are these like what are these characters like as a whole? Because we've only just been seeing Dragon and Sabo and Koala basically, so and Ivankov. So it was nice to flesh that out more.
So Stephen brings up a good point. We need to vote for our favorite and least favorite of these four. So who? Let's go around. Steve, who's your favorite?
Oh, I didn't realize we were going to be doing this, so you kind of put me on the spot.
That's exactly what I plan to do.
I wonder if we did this prior to when these characters were introduced. I'm going to just say Betty.
Is your favorite?
Yeah.
And why? Besides the reason I think.
I do like her character. I do like that her devil fruit power is giving people confidence and just riling them up and giving them something to fight for. Yes, questionable fashion indeed, but I guess it kind of plays in part of what inspired her character and design. But the other guys, one of them has some traits, and the other two are just, I can only just describe them just by how they look.
I think Lindbergh has done the least sort of so far, because Karasu has the gag of not turning his radio on, and also he answers the question of what those crows were at the end of Dressrosa. I like Betty. I think I like Morley. I think the best because he's got the best gags so far, and I also just like that he's a giant dude wearing a dress, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd agree with Ed on both of those counts. Karasu I did find really funny with the muttering and no one understanding what he was saying.
He's almost like a Birdman character.
Maddie?
Yeah, I think I agree with Steve. I like Bello Betty a lot. I think she's just really cool. And yeah, I don't know. Lindbergh hasn't really done anything yet. He's just kind of like weird steampunk cat man.
I thought he was a bunny. I guess a bunny? He could be a cat. I
thought he was a cat.
Yeah.
So he just I don't know. He hasn't had any really development. So I think he's kind of, I don't know. We're waiting for that.
We can make lots of Lindbergh baby jokes, and
you did, and then yeah. So. Or I think isn't there a cheese called Lindbergh?
It's Limburger.
Limburger.
Yeah, that's the one in
Looney Tunes. He is a cat, actually. He is a cat.
Oh, he is.
What about Amelia? She saw everything.
Stephen.
My favorite is also Bello Betty, which kind of surprised me because at first I was just like, what is it? Okay, here we go. Here's this design. But I really, really liked the power and the general, I guess, kind of character conceit of being the Lady Liberty figure. It seemed like it fit so well with the just the idea of the Revolutionary Army. The rest of these guys are, they're kind of misfits that, I guess kind of thematically fit with the idea of these revolutionaries that want to kind of overturn the order of things, but at the same time, like what One Piece character isn't a misfit in a way. So I thought I was surprised at how well that worked for me. The others are okay. I thought Karasu was funny. I was not a fan of Morley, and Lindbergh is again sort of just kind of there. So that was my general impression of them. But as a group, the four of them together, I kind of like the way that they interact and they play off of each other.
Cool. I think beyond that, it was the Celestial Dragon thing, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a second. We're going to play one more game of Who is Your Favorite. This time it's going to be with Kings, and the choices are favorite and least favorite. King Six-Pack is what I want to call him. King Beer the Sixth. Of the Rashwan Kingdom and his matroises.
I'm gonna have to look these guys up.
Burger
Yeah, I
Ham,
know, me too.
Burger Ham
Which,
Lincoln of
Which
Bollywood.
jump is this?
This is May 28th. Burger Ham Lincoln, also known as King Hamburger of Bollywood, and we also have Queen Morolan of the Tajin Kingdom, and of course King Taco from the Kingdom of the Dead, and his compatriot Coco from the movie Coco from Pixar. So yeah,
And also Nisekoi
from
the
Nisekoi.
land of Nisekoi.
The land of Nisekoi. Let's go, Steven, who's your favorite, least favorite?
Oh man.
Important. I know these are crucial characters.
Yes, yeah. You know, I have to say this is going to be colored by my own experiences, but I kind of have to go with King Taco just because like that was the one that I was like most confused by at first, and then I eventually realized the joke. I don't think I said this on the podcast episode itself because we weren't sure what we were gonna go with, and this material hasn't come up for graphic novel yet, so we haven't revisited it. But what I really wanted to call rather than the Kingdom of the Dead was I wanted to call it the Land of Los Muertos. Because that would, fit the theme better, and it would sound more like, like an individual name of a place rather than just like a concept. But I guess that was a little too far out of the ordinary.
I mean, I support you there. I think that would have been a cool thing.
Yeah. But yeah, and especially when people pointed out that like his line where he was like, better to die standing than live kneeling was actually a Zapata quote, which I did not realize. So, I thought there was a lot of cool stuff there. So that's my vote.
Yeah, I didn't realize that my pace may be steady, but I never turn back. I heard that was a Lincoln quote. Is that true? I should probably just
no.
Google.
I know Greg told me where that came from, but it is not. It's like a personal thing. It's not an actual quote from a public figure.
Okay, cool. Who's your least favorite? I know it's hard to choose here.
Me, Stelly.
Oh yeah,
Stelly.
Forgot about Stelly. Good answer. Maddie.
Yeah, I think I just have to go with King Hamburger because I feel like he's the most, I don't know, we got the most jokes out of him. I do keep forgetting that his name is Hamburger because we just call him Burger Ham Lincoln.
Yep.
And, yeah, but I don't know.
I have a question because I'm looking on the wiki. Steven, do you have Hamburger's name as just full, like, one word, hamburger?
That's two.
No, it's
words.
like his
it's two
first
words.
and last name.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
Hamburger.
Yeah, and the
So
reason Burger Ham Lincoln came from because it's in Japanese, it would be switched to Burger Ham, and then we realized, oh wait, it's the same. Yeah.
So in the Western world, his name would be Burger Ham.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, hence the Burger Ham Lincoln.
Yeah. It's all coming together.
I'll shut up.
That is how you explain a joke. Maddie, who's your least favorite?
I don't know.
I guess you could pick any king that showed up.
That one.
It's like obviously I hate Stelly, but that's also why I love him because he's such a punching bag.
Yeah.
And Garp's interaction with him was like some of the best part of Reverie. So I enjoy his presence because he sucks.
Ed.
Burger Ham Lincoln. No, it's not even close.
Steve.
Who do I have to choose from again?
You got King Six Pack or King Beer the Sixth. You got Burger Ham Lincoln, also known as King Hamburger. You've got Queen Morolan from the Tajin Kingdom, Morocco. And you got King Taco from Dios de los Muertos. And every day is the Day of the Dead in the Kingdom of Los Muertos.
Stephen presented a lot of good points for King Taco, but it's going to be Burger Ham Lincoln. And I don't even hate Stelly too much. because what Maddie said, like he's so bad, it's fun to hate him.
Yeah. I mean, I put Stelly on the same level as Spandam, as a kind of villain. Like, he is weak, he is puny, he is stupid, he messes things up all the time, but damn
Well,
it, do
so-
I hate him.
I wouldn't say he messed up. He has succeeded in every way.
Oh, that's, to be fair, he has done a pretty good job for himself, for his personal goal. And he's gonna sit on that throne, guys. Totally. What if he does? Ugh. It's possible.
What if he does and it's like Raiders where his face melts?
What if he does, but there's gum all over the chair?
He's gonna sit on the porcelain throne.
There's also in this chapter a meeting between Fujitora and Ryokyugu, and we get that silhouette of him, but we still don't see him. We know he's fasted for 3 years.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Oda did not. That's probably the one thing that was the most surprising to me, was that he did that tease, but then we moved on from the Reverie before the full reveal. Because I thought for sure, like within a chapter or two, that's just how Oda rolls, right? It's like you get the little silhouette, and then pretty soon afterwards you get his full introduction.
Yeah, that was a real tease. To be fair, that's this whole arc. Yeah, so I guess we could move on to the next part, where I think the big thing here, we talked about the Rock stuff already, we talked about the Kaido and Big Mom stuff already, so we'll talk about the empty throne at the end, because that's kind of the big kicker. CP0 and Charlos and Don Quixote Miasgard, that whole scene. How shocking was that for you guys to see? / what did you guys think of that? Steve, I'm going to start with you.
I wasn't expecting it. It's funny that was it no Roswald is
no, Charlos.
Yeah, Charlos.
Roswell was riding Kuma.
Yes.
We'll get to that in a sec, yeah.
When I said no, I was thinking of the other Don Quixote.
Mousegard.
I think he was only in my mind around that time recently because the Fishman Island arc was just coming out on DVD.
Oh yeah.
So he was like fresh in my mind, so it wasn't so much of like a whoa, I forgot about this guy. I was like, oh, this guy's not a dick. It's funny if you go back and like read the Fishman Island arc, like it's very cryptic. The last time we see him is when Otahime is going to go up to the surface. He's like, yeah, I'll show you the surface. And you think like, oh my God, is she going to get killed? And then nothing ever comes of that. But now it turns out he's been shown the light.
Well, we know he does get the approval or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like that was the most interesting, and there could be some speculation that he's still secretly evil, but I don't think so. I think he's an important part of the story. He's part of the change that needs to happen so this story can progress. Charlos coming back made my skin crawl because him being punched in the face all movie 6 style was just a perfect send off to that character. I didn't want to ever see him again. And the fact that he's back and his family's still just a bunch of schmucks. And I don't want to see him, like, he shouldn't be allowed to breathe.
I agree.
That's how I feel about Charlos. So the fact that he almost abducted Shirahoshi, I thought, okay, this will be good for the story with her and being one of the ancient weapons. But at the same time, I was like, no, not you. Not you. You and your stupid family, you and your stupid dad writing Kuma. You guys, you should cease to be. That's how I feel.
The Stephen.
Yeah, that's I loved the reintroduction of Miosgard, and to continue what Steve was just saying, I think the worst part about Charlos coming, kind of making good on the threat of his just presence in the story at all, is like the fact that, it's one thing for like sympathetic characters to be at the mercy of like a villain who is really competent and scary, and at least there's some I hate to put it in these terms, but at least you feel like there's at least some kind of small amount of merit to like like, okay, well, if they're gonna get tormented by this bad guy, at least he's like super evil and powerful, and you can kind of rationalize it. But like to have it be just these this subhuman dick, it's like it's just so frustrating to see that happen. So I was very happy that Oda very quickly resolved that story point, and he did it in a really kind of powerful and to me like heartwarming way with bringing Mjolnir back around, having him be this reformed character, and to show that the struggle from the Fishman Island arc had come full circle, that that it had paid off, and that it had shown a better way. And I was not it took me unawares. Like when that happened, I was like, oh wow, I did not expect that, because I had just kind of completely forgotten about that character for the most part. But it all seems to fit together really well, and I just think that was kind of a stroke of genius, and it made me like it made me like Otohime's flashback that much more, because now there's a new layer to it. Yeah, that's probably my favorite part of just what we see happen in the Reverie.
Maddie.
Yeah, I just have kind of like a similar feeling. It's just, we've really hated the Celestial Dragons and just the way they've been drawn and everything. It's like you're supposed to hate these guys and they suck and they're awful. And so to have kind of a little twist on that and be like, well, maybe there's more to this is nice. And it'll be, I look forward to seeing more kind of from this storyline.
Ed.
And the Celestial Dragons can go to hell.
So, I mean, we could talk a little bit about Kuma, too, since that, and Bonnie actually coming back after all the theorizing, into the Celestial Dragon stronghold. I mean...
To talk about her son, Luffy.
To talk about his... and the Sorbet Kingdom, and the fact that they might either be related or have been married, or, I mean, like, now Bonnie theories have been, like, instead of being all over the place, now we could kind of have a laser-focused crazy Bonnie theory, which might be
boy.
Right. Yeah, I know. Exciting. Everyone listening knows how much we love Bonnie theories. So, I mean, Ed... you could talk more about the Celestial Dragons if you want. I know it's your favorite topic, but I mean, kind of how things fit in with those characters, and then the ultimate goal of the revolutionaries. They're like literally under everything that's happening here.
You gotta wonder what like the purpose of the Celestial Dragons continues to serve for the world government, for Imu and the Five Elders, and anyone with actual power. Like, these people don't have... It's not clear to me from where they draw their continued authority.
I assume it's to stop revolution. I mean, like, oligarchy is kind of how I would describe the world government, even if it does have one authoritarian figure at its center. And oligarchies need, that upper class kind of support. So I assume that that's what's going on. They're the ones that give the political and financial and that kind of might and support to the government, the what do you call it, legitimacy.
I guess, but...
And the Five Elders are Celestial Dragons, right?
Well, it's not clear. But at this point, the Celestial Dragons are so divorced from their previous holdings that no one there really knows them, I think, anymore, and they don't have any base of power except for the world government itself and the Marines. The Marines turned on the celestial dragons, or if the elders decided they didn't need them anymore. Well, I mean, I feel like you could get rid of them pretty easily.
So I think that you kind of almost answered your question, because why would they still be there over 900 years? And the answer I would pose is that the five elders and potentially Emu are celestial dragons, or at least, very closely aligned with, for whatever reason it might be.
I suppose, but compared to
they did say that the elders were the highest of the celestial dragons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're not wrong in that they're kind of a appendage that doesn't make sense when you think about it. But unfortunately, that appendage is the head of the world government. The whole body doesn't make any sense. So you'd have to cut off the head too. But Ed, yeah, any other thoughts?
I don't know. They reach new depths of sleaze, except for the one good one. That's about it.
The one good one.
Stephen, do you want to talk about the Kuma Bani or any of the other stuff we've just touched on?
I have no idea what to think about the Kuma Bani stuff, especially since it was unclear. Like, he threw those details in there, but then he didn't make it explicit how exactly they related to each other. Like, does this mean that she's his mom? Is she just kind of impersonating someone else? Is that her real identity? Or, it's just so hard to tell. And, but it was fascinating. I'm just kind of like all the twists and turns with Kuma's story over the years are definitely kind of a detail that I have gotten very hazy on. And it's hard for me to keep in my head, okay, wait, where is Kuma, at which point is Kuma good? At which point is he a revolutionary? Who is he serving in this scene versus that scene? It's all kind of a jumble in my head. So I'm kind of hoping that Oda is able to clear that up. By, the next time we see him, we can kind of get it all straightened out. Maybe with some Vegapunk information or whatever. But anyways, that's about all I can say about that.
Yeah, he's one of the most fascinating characters, I think, in the background of One Piece. Steve.
Yeah, I thinking about it. Yeah, Steven has a similar question that I had reading that is that her identity as being representative from, is she actually from that country, or is just somehow her looking old and small and frail, she passes as it. Still many with Kuma. What's Kuma's former kingdom again?
Sorbet. Yeah.
Oh, it is Sorbet. Okay, I wasn't sure if they were the same kingdom or somewhere else, but it's interesting. And I think when we found out that I think this was Sabo talking about it, when Kuma was so nice and used to smile all the time. I'm and that explains his voice. It's really his non-threatening tone that he spoke in. But yeah, I think Bonnie would have to be from this kingdom, because just thinking back to when she was originally captured by Blackbeard, and then when Akainu had that very vague dialogue with her hinting that they've been trying to track her down for a while. But I don't know, so many questions, because still, she had a bounty for a reason.
And then she was captured by the military, right?
Yes. But then I guess she escaped.
Yeah.
She's got to have some tie. She definitely has some ties with the kingdom, but I don't necessarily. Man,
I mean, they said Connie was the dowager of the kingdom of Sorbet, but we don't know how much of that is true. I mean, I usually trust Oda boxes, but Oda box is also called the Five Elders, the greatest power in the world, and we learned that that's not true. So how am I supposed to trust anyone?
What's the term for it? It's a narrator
Unreliable
an
narrator.
unreliable. Thank you.
Yeah.
You could say that they're the highest regulatory body in the world. How about that?
The thing with
That would
Bonnie
be
is
correct, yeah.
I can't see her being who she disguised herself as, because then because if she was captured by the Navy and escaped again, and if she just strolled along gates like, hey, can I walk through here? It's like, hey, didn't you escape? We found her. So still a lot of mystery there.
Maddie?
It's gotta be she's Luffy's mom. That's the
It's the only possibility. Yeah, it's definitely I don't know. There's not enough information to really make a clear theory. I don't think it's very interesting though. I just kind of look forward to finding more out about, I guess, the kingdom, the Sorbet Kingdom in general.
Yeah, I hope we get a flashback at some point.
Yeah.
So we have one more topic, and then we'll depart the Reverie forever. I assume. And that's the big elephant in the room, which this time is not an elephant. It's not Zoe. It doesn't have to do with that at all. The five elders and the great emu and the frozen hat and all of that weird shit. What?
Well, I mean, emu does refer to. I looked into this. There's some scholarly writing about it, about emu being a sort of Ainu or Hokkaido-based shamanistic tradition, similar to basically people who go into a trance and not necessarily telling fortunes or telling the future, but doing this sort of going into a trance and going into this sort of repeated behavior. So there's something. So
I shouldn't take the tarot cards out yet.
It's no, not next segment, but it's definitely from that. So I feel like this emu is sort of like an oracle or someone that you go to for divination or something like that, but not necessarily like a leader. Granted, because no one knows about it. You don't know if it's a man or woman, really. Mm-hmm. So that or like a not necessarily a crypt keeper, but like a almost like the knight at the end of Last Crusade.
Steven, who do you think the great emu is?
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not as sold as Ed is on that. Like, I guess, etymological background. Although I do. I really like the idea, and I'm kind of in support of it, of emu being this a more oblique figure than just a straight up like, oh, here's the secret ruler boss, bad guy, yeah, who's actually behind all of this, like that. The homunculus. That to me, yeah, that to me would be a more kind of disappointing reveal to everything. I like feeling more like, if we're under the assumption that these signs that we've seen in the five elders, that they kind of take this responsibility seriously, and although they are often depicted making decisions or making orders that are very much antagonistic to like the Straw Hats or to other people that we care about as readers, that they feel as though they are kind of undertaking a mission that needs to be done, in which sometimes involves reluctance or regret. But and so I like the idea that that the reasons behind this, if it's some kind of world world building reason, that some tragic thing in the past that they are trying to prevent from happening again, or what have you. I like
kind of
that.
The plot of Gurren Lagann, isn't it?
Oh man, it's been too long since I saw that. But yeah, I like the idea that that this figure may be just kind of more, I don't know, in a way kind of symbolic of that perhaps, and of kind of reinforcing what they need to do for this kind of historical mission of theirs, which is not necessarily always directly related to just kind of running the world in general. But that's all speculative, of course. We have no idea at this point.
Maddie.
Yeah, I just love that. I don't know. Oda can just give you such giant surprises still. Like, I think the giant straw hat was just like such a huge what the heck moment. And it was just like at the end of that chapter, everyone was just kind of like, okay. And I don't know. I think it's just like really fun to have moments like that. But also, I really like how quickly he subverted the empty throne idea, because you like get this empty throne, in one chapter, and you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. This is a symbol of equality, and Stelly's being stupid because he wants to sit in it. And then, one or two chapters later, it's like someone sits in it, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it is. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, there's just so many things introduced in this chapter, and you're just kind of like, okay, you kind of get, okay, this is what everyone thinks is going on, and then this is what is actually going on, but we don't really know what actually is going on, and it's all, you have all these kind of different ideas and different opinions and different views going on, and I think it's just created this really interesting mystery of, who's really in charge and who has power and what powers do they have.
Yeah. Who hasn't had a chance to talk about Emu and the giant hat yet? Steve, I think.
My concern with the hat, I think I expressed it to Alex first. I was like, "Is this jumping the shark? Is One Piece taking a trip to the loony bin, hyped up on goofballs?" But it certainly is interesting, and I think the more I thought about it, the more it probably plays into, of course, the Void Century, possibly with Joy Boy. So I'm definitely not knocking it. There's a lot of potential here. It's weird as hell, and this is just as long as we don't have like sentient straw hats or something. then again, Mario Odyssey was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm imagining like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with straw hats. Just like,
oh god, I don't know. This is weird. I hope it's just something like it's a symbol, not necessarily. It's like the who wears the hat gains all this power. I hope it's not the case. It's going to be one of those things now for years when people are going to be talking about the series and discussing theories. It's just going to be, but what about the hat? It's just going to be, I feel like it's going to become a punchline.
Do you know what's amazing? What you just said there, even Steve? We went from stupid Bonnie theories to stupid straw hat theories, and that's
what I was just about to get to that.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Bonnie theories and stupid Weevil theories, but now I feel like we're gonna come into the new world that is stupid straw hat theories. That's my one fear, but
Shinsekai.
I was not expecting this at all. Like, this was totally out of left field. And then talking about Emu, I think it just makes sense with how corrupt the world government is. It only makes sense that it even gets more corrupt the deeper you go. It should be very interesting. I really have nothing else to say other than, man, I don't want to sound so anti-theories, but a lot of people have been discussing, Emu has the same eyes as Mihawk and the same eyes that Cavendish gets when he turns into who you call it.
Does he have the same eyes as Zoe?
Hakuba is who you're thinking of.
And Hakuba. And I'm just looking at it thinking, no, that's just the eyes that Oda does when he wants to show pupils.
Yeah.
They're just cool.
Intensity.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They're intense, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, please, Maddie.
No, that's it. It's just like they're intense eyes, and they look, kind of weird and scary, and you're just like, ooh, but, I mean, I don't know. He only draws so many different eyes, so.
I was gonna say, it's a manga that's over 900 chapters long. I think some design traits are gonna be reused.
Yeah, I would not give that. I think that's just supposed to show intensity.
What do they say if it looks like Mihawk's eyes? Like, where do you go from that? It's like, oh, it's Mihawk's sister, or like, what?
They're descendants from the Void Century, Michael. Aren't most people?
It's the Dracule family. They go all the way back to the okay. I mean, I like what Steve said. Like, the deeper you go into the world government, the worse it gets. I think the perfect example for it that we see in this arc is the Travelator, where you just look right under the surface.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a bunch of slaves pushing it, which is so stupid. Like, it's not even like.
But doesn't it ring true?
No, I mean, it rings super true for the world government. And that's the case with, Shaw Buddy. And we've seen this, over and over and over since the beginning of the series. And there's another question I have for you guys. And that's, do you think either the Giant Straw Hat or this ending of the Reverie with the kind of where the world is, or that there's this either one leader or oracle or whatever you want to call him at the center of things here, do you think this was planned in Oda's original quote-unquote 5-year plan? For those who don't know, just to fill you in, Oda originally thought One Piece would last 5 years. So what I mean is, do you guys think that this is something he recently thought of, or do you guys think that this is something that's kind of part of the really big pillars of the series? If anyone has thoughts. If not, that's fine.
My guess is that he probably had like the big picture stuff planned out, like as far as like, okay, what's, if he's gonna answer things like what are the devil fruits, or like what is the One Piece, very broad questions like that. I don't think he had all of this kind of story structure plotted out at all. That's the kind of stuff that I think, the finer details that sort of connect things. That's the stuff that you come up with and that you kind of workshop in the back of your head as you are going on with the story and kind of building it up. So I don't think that this is necessarily like, from the original framework for the series, or, if there ever was something like that. That's my gut feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that, Oda has planned things from the beginning, like Brook and Chopper. I mean, those are like big things. I mean, I don't know how, obviously the end game of the series he has some sort of structure of, but it would be so hard to say at the point we're at now. I mean, people listening to this episode in like 10-15 years when things are over might be like, oh, they've completely didn't understand that was such an important part of the series, or vice versa, or they overthought it. But I mean, I am still, this is like one of the most I was so obsessed with this ending. I think I read this on my honeymoon, or the mini moon, whatever you want to call it. I was just reading it over and
Chibi
over.
moon.
Chibi moon.
Just
Kawaii moon.
Had to talk about the moon, didn't you?
I got it in. Because we all know it's related to the moon somehow. I read this over and over and over again. And I mean, just design-wise, that emu face at the very end kind of reminds me of, I mentioned it briefly a second ago, the homunculus from FMA, Brotherhood, or FMA, the manga. Just like that, or I guess Pride, is that the one?
No,
not Pride. Pride was, they had it different in both of the series, so now it's completely mixed up in my head. But
right, it's the homunculus is the main villain.
Yeah, the black blob is what I'm talking about. But I know it's just a silhouette, but just like that's kind of like there's an eerie quality to like how that was drawn. It still could be that nun kind of looking outfit. It almost looks like there's a cloak over him. And I think that would, or her, I think that would be an interesting design choice too. It is confounding to me what Oda is going for here. It could go in a lot of different directions, good and bad. And I think you know, and why was he looking at the Straw Hat, and why did he stab a picture of Shirahoshi? Why did he cut up the Luffy and Blackbeard posters specifically, which were probably the two he carried
and
out?
also only their eyes, right? They all have an eye.
Yeah.
Because they don't have his special eyes.
It's like, ooh, these people with their stupid regular eyes. Although I do like the fact that it looks like Blackbeard got his nose back in that bounty poster.
Blackbeard got his nose back.
Yeah, that is true. He stabs them all in the eye. I don't know. It's just these. Maybe that's an aesthetic choice too. Like that might not. And why is he carrying the picture of Vivi? Which I completely
you think
forgot.
she's cute?
I mean,
Who wouldn't?
yeah.
Yeah.
If it, we don't know if it's a he or she. So there's. I mean, that's not. It's not a. What do you call it? Forced gender onto the great emu. Anyway, do you guys have any final thoughts on the Reverie?
The only thing I was I was just thinking about, how much was planned, because the five elders, according to the wiki, were first introduced in chapter 233. So I was like, okay, at that time, did Oda know that there was also this, I don't know, person above them, or was that something?
Probably not, if I had to guess. Yeah, because I mean, we still don't, at least at this point, we the readers don't know like what the actual purpose of the of Emu is. So he, without even knowing that, it's kind of hard to say like, oh yeah, this is clearly part of the plan from the beginning. Like that's the kind of detail that I think is very easy to write and then kind of retroactively fit among the details you've already created.
Right. It's like the Reverse Mountain. That's like, I think Reverse Mountain for me is like the first time I sort of thought that the world was created the way I did. Like my big theory about the world being, all the continents being rearranged and stuff.
I mean, they almost explicitly say they say the architects of the world. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was more confident by the time they said that Oars was the continent polar. So.
I mean, so I'm looking at volume 25. It's page 142, 143 for those who have it digitally or physically. They call them the supreme leaders of the world government, even in that. So, I mean, they don't really talk much more about them in that first appearance. I don't. Who knows how much he was thinking of them. And that sword, it's been mentioned before, but now that it's been kind of confirmed that Katetsu swords have that kind of handle, that guy's what do you call it? Not handle, the
hilt.
The hilt, is that what that's called?
Are you talking about Baldy the Elder?
Yeah, Baldy the Elder, that's what we call him. Baldy the Elder.
Was it Baldy, Beardo, Splotchy, or no, I call him
Gorbachev. Yeah, come on,
and
get
Bitey.
Yeah,
I call the big one Bitey. Yeah, I mean, who knows? The other, I did want to mention this quick. Doflamingo's speech at the end of Dressrosa, talking about the national treasure that he talked about a bunch during the Dressrosa arc, saying, that national treasure, it sounds like he was talking about that Straw Hat. Especially since we get that Doflamingo speech in the Reverie chapter and it cuts straight to that.
Right.
So I feel like it's got to be more than just symbolism. There's something. I don't think it's a sentient Straw Hat. Don't get me wrong, Steve.
Oh gosh.
But I just think there's something to it. There's something. And I really don't know what. I can't even theorize. I could say a bunch of random shit, but I have no reason. I have no basis.
Yeah, it was really it was just that shocking, right? It's just you're just completely dumbfounded. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
It's we've been doing this podcast for 9+ years. I have no fucking idea what that Straw Hat is there for.
Which is great, right? That's what makes it so fun.
That's Oda's goal. He never wants you to be able to predict what he's going to do, even though you can a lot of the time. I think his goal is usually to throw as many curveballs as he can. And this certainly had a lot of it. So last question. Would you say that the Reverie arc is an arc, a story arc? Yes or no question, says Steve.
No.
Ed.
Not yet. It's not over.
Steven. Okay, fair.
I would say that there's enough of it to call it an arc, although I think being judged as a story arc, it's pretty meager. Like I don't think it's a satisfying story arc, but I think you could classify it as such if you wanted. That's my
Maddie?
confusing answer.
Yeah, it's I whatever we say, it's gonna be retroactively changed at some point.
I feel like the Reverie stuff, whatever you want to call it, then, is like kind of watching one episode in the middle.
Reverie, Reverie Part 1.
Yeah, it's like watching an episode in the middle of a serialized series, where they try and catch you up, but what's happening is the feeling throughout. Okay, lots more to do. Let's get on into the next part of the podcast.
This is the double anime recap for episodes 848 and 849. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, guess who? We have Ed.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about this week. Well, I mean, we have one episode that's really worth talking about this week.
I'd say that these two episodes are literally one chapter cut in half.
Well,
one of them has more heftier content.
Yeah, I mean, well, we'll get to that, but it was one of the best One Piece episodes in years.
The first episode on our docket is
not
848. Save the Sunny, Fighting Bravely, Chopper and Brook. The title card begins at 3 minutes and 57 seconds, and the opening sequence is Pudding trying to show the Straw Hats the right way to go because they've gotten disoriented by the seducing woods. And since all the trees are getting in the way, she uses her powers memory filament. Remember, she has memory powers.
Of course.
And she's basically returning all the homies back to their original consciousness. So they're not minions of Big Mom. They're like, where am I? What? I have a work to go to, or I've got my kids to feed, or some of them like grow mustaches when they're imitating their original owners.
Mm-hmm. Actually, Pudding doing shtick was pretty funny this episode. I enjoyed that, but as we'll get to, anytime Perispero opened his mouth, I started checking my watch.
I think that both of these episodes are really good-looking, well-directed episodes. Just like the pacing does not favor this first one.
No, not at all.
So yeah, Pudding's kind of explaining how her powers work, and she's completely like forgotten that Sanji's there. And Sanji's like, wow, that's cool. And she freaks out. She's doing her thing.
The third eye bugs out. That's hilarious.
Yeah. I really like... there's like a surprising amount of... Whenever I kind of like go through this back half of the arc, like there's like a significant amount of Sanji just being nice to Pudding, but like in like a no strings attached sort of way. Like, oh.
Well, yeah, I think he likes her, and he's being nice. But also, he's also serious at certain points here. When he's like getting to Cacao Island, when they're talking at the to leave the ship behind, basically.
Yeah. They're flying overhead. They notice Katakuri and Perispero on the ship. Pudding's having her moment, like, oh, she's still doing the tsundere thing where she's like, oh, my brothers will kill them, and you'll not get away alive, and. Chiffon has to snap her out of it again.
Doesn't her head like explode at one point?
Yeah, and like she's steaming, and Chiffon. I love how just like used to it Chiffon is. Like Pudding will faint, and she'll catch her, and she'll keep talking to Sanji like nothing's happening. But yeah, Sanji's decided, no, I'll go with you guys. I won't. I'll leave this up to my friends. I'll trust their judgment on the fight. We gotta focus on this cake, and he's doing his cool, he's kind of tugging at his collar, saying, "Let's bake a cake that'll knock Big Mom unconscious." So Brook and Chopper are fighting the chess peacekeeper some more. I really like how in this fight, Brook just has kind of the Soul King just kind of hanging off of him.
Mm-hmm. It makes him kind of look like that the Dark Shadow from My Hero Academia.
Yeah. I think it would be cool if that's just Brooks' new fighting style now.
Yeah, that'd be cool. He does the cool thing where he like wraps the soul around the blade and shoots the soul at people, and like steals their. He takes out the homies, but that was it's a pretty cool fighting style.
Yeah, they notice that the enemies are coming specifically from Nami and Robin's mirror, and they're asking, "Oh, will they be mad if we break their mirror?"
Well, yes, but that's not the point.
We'll ask for forgiveness later. Is basically
right,
what they.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering why Parasparrow just keeps he keeps giving them chances to get away. Like, oh, if you just give up now, we'll let you free. We'll spare your lives. And it's like, why does that matter to you at all?
Because he's still worried about Mom because he lied to her, and he says it a couple times that if she sees him, she'll kill him. So, right. But maybe that's in the next episode where he just sort of disappears.
So Brooke and Parasparrow are fighting, but Parasparrow is just stopping his sword with his candy cane.
Mm-hmm.
We get some more of the group running away from Big Mom in the seducing woods, and we see Prometheus like scolding Zeus, like, why would you disobey orders for a snack? That's actually so stupid.
That's like, I think I've like pinpointed my exact complaint about this episode. Everything that happened in this episode is all stuff that happened in the previous episode too, up until the very end. So we get Brooke and Chopper fighting Parasparrow and the homies, and Luffy and crew are running, and Big Mom is attacking, and Sanji and Pudding are doing shtick, and not much happens until the very end.
I do like how this episode feels like the most the animators are having fun animating Big Mom specifically. That's like the way she kind of stumbles around and is swinging her sword, and the crew's just barely dodging. Like, I think that all looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And we even see Big Mom like just spiking the ground and creating this huge beam that travels right outside the woods.
Mm-hmm.
She's grabbing Prometheus' heavenly fire, and that's the eye catch of the episode as flames are just exploding around from the if you're watching it from the sun, you just see all this mayhem coming from the distance.
Mm-hmm. And actually, it's interesting. This is one of the times where Katakuri can't tell the future. Like, he doesn't know what's going to happen exactly.
Well, that he kind of does coming up.
Well, I mean, he seems surprised that the crew that the Straw Hats were still alive. So,
but I mean, he's kind of side glancing over there, like, Harrow,
right?
You might want to look over here. So Brooks getting his ass kicked. Chopper is trying to help him, but then he gets stuck in candy, and he mentions that he can't eat, like, as the candy is growing on him. He mentions that he can't even transform like this, like he's so stuck.
Yeah, this was the scene that had me checking my watch.
I mean, it's just like, it's so ridiculous to have, we've got this like high octane chase going on, and then Parasparrow is bragging about how his candy can kill them in 3 minutes.
Well, and also the ridiculousness of, this is part of the shonen action formula, is that nothing's going to happen. With like, he's a mid boss. I mean, he's a strong guy, but he's a mid boss, and he's threatening like lower level characters, and it's not like everyone's not going to leave the island. Well,
yeah, there's definitely a sort of a balancing act that you need to strike with these kind of things, where like Parasparrow and Katakuri are not going to kill anyone.
Right. You can't have them make like overblown speeches about what the mortal peril that our heroes are in. And I mean, nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah, but and you do spend all this time, like, that Parasparrow and Katakuri are strong enough to just kill them, like,
right,
at any second, and it's frustrating that they're not even trying.
Yeah.
So they're like suffocating in the candy, and Parasparrow is putting like this clock on Chopper's head to count the 3 minutes.
So stupid.
So yeah, more mom chaos in the distance. Parasparrow is talking to himself like, okay, so now that we've got this covered, now our job is to lead Mom to Pudding on Cacao Island. I just hope she doesn't realize that there's no cake on the ship, because she will kill me. And then this is when Katakuri's hockey kind of lights up. You see his eyes glow red, and Big Mom is, she's still storming like, "Let me eat that cake," and she's chopping around. And I like how like Perospero is like squinting to like look closely, like, and that's just as the Straw Hats emerge from the woods. And I like this moment. I like when Perospero is so confident that Mom must have killed Luffy and the crew by now, and then boom, they emerge, and like the adventurous music is playing. And Katakuri is still just like super calm about everything. He's kind of just turning to the minions, like, okay, you get in the mirror. If you stick around, you'll be lying at that man's feet. And we're looking at Luffy. Although I thought it was funnier in the manga when Oda drew Luffy with like a goofy face with his tongue sticking out. And
yeah, I haven't revisited that chapter since then. Maybe yet.
Yeah,
I have to look at that.
The contrast is not here. So Perospero is using his Candy Maiden, and Pedro, Jinbei, and Luffy all team up to break it. And then Perospero is immediately following up with the Candy Maiden decoration, which is like a big monster mouth with spikes that shoot out. And the finale of the episode is Luffy punching it with a Red Hawk.
That was really cool.
Looks pretty cool. Yeah,
that was
really
a very
good.
cool scene. Like, and by far my favorite part of the episode
is the like last 30 seconds.
Yeah, they really put a lot into that. I mean, it looked really cool.
Yeah, so that's the To Be Continued card. The next episode is 849 Before the Dawn. Pedro, the captain of the Guardians. The title card.
Yeah, this is one of the best episodes of One Piece in at least 5 years. This is like, wow. This is some of the best.
Praise.
It really is. Like, I don't usually get emotional by the One Piece anime, and I actually think this worked better in the anime than it did in the manga, even because of the way that they incorporated the flashbacks. But
the title card begins at 3 minutes and 35 seconds. So, I mean, that's a pretty low number for the recap ending. Although they did leave the Red Hawk repeating in post the title card.
Yeah. I guess I didn't have a problem with that because it was so awesome. But normally that would kind of be like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and it reminded me that like Luffy doing the Red Hawk, like it wasn't just to bust the maiden, like it keeps going, and that's what leads into the clash between Luffy and Katakuri, which is kind of because I thought the Red Hawk felt a little incomplete in the last episode, and like that's why there's this whole other part to it.
And there's the whole anticipation of Luffy, fighting Katakuri for real, and this is sort of where that starts. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah. So Jinbei is like, Luffy, go throw that man off the ship for us because he's going to be a problem. And Luffy is like, gotcha. I like Katakuri looking down on Luffy and the crew arriving. Like his eyes are kind of like wide. I love the hatching on Katakuri's eyes, which is how his eyes look most of the time. Like it's like kind of supposed to look like his eyes are shaded out.
It's sort of like his eyes are in the shadow a little bit.
Yes,
they're sunken. Yeah,
he just looks burdened by everything he has to deal with.
Yeah, he's actually one of the more normal people in his family.
Yeah, Pedro's watching Luffy's back, and he sees kind of the ghost of Roger. He's remembering Roger. He thinks he sees Roger in Luffy, and it's Roger's new voice actor since his original one died.
Yeah, he died like back in 2015. So, is this actually the first time they've used him for this?
This is the first time we've heard the new voice. It's Masane Tsukayama.
Interesting.
Yeah. I do think he does sound distinctly different. Like I don't think it's like a voice match necessarily. Not that that's a bad thing. It's just kind of weird when you hear Roger give the classic speech later in the episode, and it doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it still works though, but it sounded different.
Like no, like I'm not like no ill will towards the new actor. Like I accept him with open arms.
Of course.
So I love this little moment where Perospero just hops off of the rail. He's standing on the rail of the Sunny, and he just sort of skips off and jumps and like lands on this little candy platform he's made for himself to head to the shore. I just think there's a lot of like personality into it. It's got that sort of Willy Wonka eccentricity to it.
He's very he's very sort of whimsical, but in a creepy way.
But I mean, that's such a thing that I wish you could feel in the anime more. Like it's the kind of thing that you couldn't do in the manga. So I like it when the anime has little flourishes like that. Jinbei grabs Nami and they jump onto the Sunny. Pedro and Carrot are kind of playing defense, and Pedro is saying, "Don't be surprised if the unexpected happens. I think that the Straw Hats are the ones that our tribe and the Kozuki clan have been waiting for centuries."
I just love this Pedro. I love this Pedro character. He's so cool.
He's a cool dude. Jinbei, Nami has to explain the coup de burst to Jinbei, and Jinbei it just kind of shrugs it off like, "Okay, I mean, if you say so, let's do that."
Right.
The tart Amand and her tart ships are arriving. So we've got Big Mom on the shore. We've got the tart ships at sea. We've got Perospero and Katakuri to deal with.
I don't know how much we've heard of Amon's voice before, but she's very deep and very sinister voice. I like it.
And Katakuri is just beating the shit out of Luffy. And Perospero is covering the ship in candy. So now the coup de burst won't even work.
Yeah. And actually, like, Katakuri is like, even Luffy using his haki, he can't actually hit him because of his powers,
right.
I guess. It wasn't...
Well, they have not explained... There's a reason why that is. That hasn't been explained yet, but...
But they do make a point of saying it here.
Yes. Even Luffy's haki does not hurt Katakuri for whatever reason. I like Carrot is watching... Carrot sees Perospero from the shore, and she gets angry. Turn Brook and Chopper back, you candy jerk.
It's actually, I think that, I don't know if I noticed them doing this, but they didn't actually break them out of the candy this episode, did they?
We don't see it, although it's implied how they get out.
Okay.
It gets mentioned. So we have there's the eye catch of the episode, and that leads into the Pedro versus Perospero fight, which lasts about 5 seconds before Perospero's got him all stuck in candy, and he's bragging about how big his bounty is. Perospero is, I'm 700 million, so I'm no small fry myself. Flashing back, there's a scene between Pedro and Perospero from when Pedro's being led off of Whole Cake Island. He's just given Big Mom 50 years of his life, and they're kind of talking about how since Pedro is 27, losing 50 years is he's basically 77 years old now. So it's like it's kind of like Pedro. He's like an old man who isn't long for this world anyway. So he's using his like last couple of years to do something meaningful.
Yeah, and they really sort of emphasize that here. He feels like he doesn't have any time left.
Or, I mean, literally, he doesn't have much time left.
And I love the artistic choice of doing the nighttime, the stars in the sky, and Perospero in his nighttime gear.
I love his like black outfit.
And the
nice
and the silence, very little background music in parts of this, especially when they're talking. And I think also at the end as well. It's very it's very the words. Waves.
So there's more. We have a little discussion about the meaning of the Nox pirates, the word Nox, which means night, and Perospero is just kind of like, night kind of has a negative connotation, don't you think? And Pedro's response is, well, night also means before the dawn. So
he's there's ever since Zoe, there's been the talk of the new dawn, the new age. So
there was also a flashback early in the episode. It's a repeated flashback we see a few times of Pedro and Cat Viper.
Yep.
So we get a little story of Roger and the Minx. The Minx are pretty pro Gold Roger, it seems.
Pedro is the Luffy to Gold Roger's Shanks.
Yes,
it's exactly. It's like one to one.
Yeah. Baby Wanda is super cute. She's like showing up like Pedro. Oh, I think Pedro's still voiced by his adult actor, and it sounds a little weird.
Wasn't that the voice of he was someone in Dragon Ball? I forget who.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll have to look that up.
I think he's Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist.
Yes, and that's right because Wanda's Hawkeye. Well, they have the same pair of voices.
Yeah, so Wanda shows up and she's like, sorry, Pedro. Roger's kind of dead.
It was a very emotional scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like imagine what would happen if Luffy had heard that Shanks had been killed. It's just a lot. You think of the parallels and think of the effect it would have on them.
Yeah, and we see Roger's execution again. It's the first time we get his execution speech with the new voice.
I do want to mention the egg was on his ship in this episode.
Yeah.
Like, how did I never notice that until it was pointed out to me a couple years ago?
So I was pretty sure that they were reusing animation from episode 0 here.
Oh.
But it's all redrawn. Like, I actually went back and checked, and I mean, it's still adapting like the chapter 0 manga, but they did not just like reuse the animation like they could have. They completely redrew it.
You get the shot of Dragon without his face tattoo.
Yeah,
that looks kind of weird.
So we're back in the present on the shore. Pedro's getting stuck up in candy. For the first time in a long, long time. I wish I went and checked when the last time it was used was, but the song "To the Grand Line" begins.
That's the one from when they go to the Twin Capes, or no, when they're heading towards Traverse Mountain.
Oh, it might be. Yeah,
I think so.
I associate it mostly with the end of Arlong Park when Luffy comes out of the rubble.
Okay.
So yeah, it starts playing, and so you're kind of getting ready for something to happen. Parasparrow's like, "Oh, you'll only know the darkness of death. There is no dawn for you." And Pedro's is like, "Nah, not so fast."
Yeah.
Whoosh.
Yeah, we get like this both the speeches from the first and second openings, just so good. Like, the way it leads right into that. The will is carried on.
Yeah, and everyone's shocked to see this. Carrot's like begging him not to do it, and he's got his cigarette and he's lighting the dynamite. I've always liked the kind of, I don't know how to describe it, not pacing, but like the setup and the structure of this moment, both in the manga and the anime, where you got Parasparrow being very cocky, and then Pedro reveals the dynamite, and you're like, oh shit! Like, you kind of understand in that moment how serious he's being, and Parasparrow is freaking out, like, no, don't do that, you idiot! But he can't stop him, and so the dynamite goes boom, huge boom, like intensely large explosion for a batch of dynamite.
And they do that thing where he goes all sketchy, and then his face just disappears completely.
Yes, and I like how you see the animation, the drawings of Parasparrow and Pedro's face, like they kind of get blown up, but like it happens before the sound explodes. I mean, it's a very common like kind of anime explosion type trick, but it's always a very effective one. Like when there's a delay to the sound of the explosion. I think that's always really cool. And so yeah, everyone is distraught, and that is to be continued. Yeah. General thoughts on these 2 episodes, Ed?
I'm getting emotional looking at it now, as I'm watching in the background as we do this. Pedro, what a guy, what a character. Just the connection back to Roger and the ideals and the new age and what came before and what's going afterwards. It's very, I don't know, the way I sort of feel the way Carrot felt about it. I didn't want to see him go, but on the other hand, it's very, he's making the sacrifice for Luffy. So that people, there aren't that many people who are like more selfless in One Piece than Luffy is, but I guess Pedro, he is. They're very similar in that respect.
Yeah, I always liked how there's this kind of irony in Whole Cake Island where I always think that there's kind of this blurry line between self-sacrifice and like just self-destruction. because these are characters who are just like by nature super reckless and willing to throw their lives away, probably too much. And we spend this whole arc trying to stop Sanji from doing that. Like we spend this whole arc trying to stop Sanji from dying, and in the process we let somebody else die. And so you're not really able to decide how you feel about that, because there's just kind of no right or wrong way to feel. And sort of where that's sort of the way in which I kind of hope this isn't a usual Oda death fake out. Because I do think that is an important aspect of this arc. But I don't know. I feel like if Pedro is like alive, and like I hope it's just like a post-series thing, like when we're cutting around.
Well, yes, exactly. That's the other thing. They haven't, like, I was watching the end of Alabasta a week or two ago, and I watched the episode with Pell, and it's still very good and still very emotional. But at the end, you're like, okay, he survives though, and so it blunts the emotional impact of it. And on this, Pedro, I don't mean to spoil anything, but he hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
So,
as of the ending of the arc, his whereabouts are still unknown.
Yeah, possibly all over the place.
Yeah. I thought these two episodes, both of them were like way above average in terms of just the polish in the art and the quality of the animation. Like there's a lot of personality that normally isn't there.
I think there was a lot of camera movement as well. I think that was very, very inspired, especially with the scenes with Pedro and Roger. And they do this thing where like they change the camera perspective, like it's all a moving camera. It sort of swings around Pedro and like, I'll go out to sea. And that scene was very well directed. And the whole final half of the second episode was very well directed.
Yeah. The first of these two episodes is really stunted by the pacing. The second episode is not so much. So
yeah. Anyway,
anything else you want to say?
I mean, the anime can't be this good every week, but I can hope.
I mean, I feel like they've been getting their staff ready for Luffy versus Katakuri, so I think we're in a good place for the time being.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Want to move on to the next segment?
Sure.
So it's time to step into the present and the future as we talk about Wano.
Not the Grand Tour?
Damn it.
So the whole crew is
Step
with
into
us.
the present, the future, step into the present.
The future. So we're going to talk a little bit about Wano, what we think of it so far. I guess we'll just do some, basic thoughts on how we think it's been going. Let's start with Steven, since I feel like you're most engrossed in it, since you're translating it.
Yes. What has struck me the most, I think, is that, given that we knew Wano was coming and that we had, we were expecting this arc for so long, is that he's bringing it to us, like he's introducing us to this arc in a very kind of straightforward way. Like it doesn't seem like he's reinventing his storytelling to do this, like, kind of bringing it back to just Luffy and like having these, introducing the the little plucky little character. Like we kind of made fun of Otama for being a little bit of a filler kid in distress sort of thing, which even Oda himself usually doesn't do. But him kind of building it up from the ground level, I guess I would say, rather than immediately throwing a ton of details at us. And I'm not sure, like at the moment, it's not too challenging, I would say. Like it's pretty easy to process everything that's going on. And so there's a part of me, especially coming after the Reverie, that is like maybe just a little bit unfulfilled by that in a way, just a feeling like, okay, yep, I get what's going on in this chapter. We'll see where this detail leads. It all is pretty easy to grasp. And I'm hoping that's just because he's going to build up to a much bigger story, which, obviously it's going to, we're going to get a lot more detail. But I'm kind of waiting, aside from the design elements themselves, and which I love the character designs and the environment designs. I'm kind of waiting to find out, like, what is it about this arc that's going to make it stand out, like, just from a story plot perspective. And I think we're still kind of waiting to find out what that will be.
Steve.
It's artistically, it's been a blast, and it's usually like every beginning of a One Piece arc, it's all about the adventure and the mystery and all these little threads being dangled in front of us and just leaving us up to speculation on where it's going to go. But so far, it's a lot of fun, a lot of great gags, and it's great to see Luffy and Zoro interact with each other again.
Maddie.
Yeah, like everyone's saying, the aesthetic is really nice, and I think we've all been kind of raving over the Hokusai references and just all the glorious art in general. And yeah, again, like, I don't know, it's been a lot of fun, like all their kind of, their Japanese aliases and their disguises and all their little top knots, and yeah, and just I think the reuniting of Luffy and Zoro after however many chapters was really fun, and we're just kind of getting to experience the two of them as a duo again, which has just been a really good time.
Ed.
Wano's such a weird place. Like, just the way that the Straw Hats even got there was so weird, with the waterfall, like, seemingly running backwards as the Straw Hats getting pulled up the waterfall, I guess, by the fish, and the whirlpool, and we don't really know what happened there. We get to this whacked out sort of this land that's drawn in a completely different art style. And then we find out, like, half of it's destroyed by pollution, which it's something I'm surprised that Oda hasn't touched on previously in One Piece. I guess he was saving it for this, but it's a relatively common theme, conservation themes in Japanese media, and I'm happy we getting some of that here. And I'm happy that Hawkins is getting focus on him, because he has consistently been, in my opinion, the weakest of the worst generation. If only because he hasn't had the spotlight on him. He hasn't really gotten to do anything cool, and the little bit that we did see didn't really make sense, because we didn't really understand what his power was, but now we do. So I'm happy that he is in there and getting some due, and I'm just digging the Japanese aesthetic of it all, and I'm curious about the relationship between the Emperor and the Kozuki. What's left of the Kozuki, and how that relates to Kaido, because people have speculated that the Emperor is sort of ineffectual and he's sort of being completely dominated by Kaido. But I think there might be more of a partnership there, or more of a relationship, than him just being clueless. So I'd be interested to see more of that. And as Maddie said, I love the Zoro and Luffy going it alone together with buddy comedy. And that'll always be fun to me. That's the very beginning of the story, and I like to see it come back.
The being bad at being pirates.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I would just add on to that, I mean, first off, one of my favorite parts, it's going to be weird going this far back to discuss Wano, but one of my favorite parts about Fishman Island was the chapters getting to Fishman Island, specifically that one with the double page spread with that fish underwater with the big teeth, just like those crazy, with the blobfish and all that ridiculous shit. That kind of stuff was some of my favorite stuff in that arc, just art-wise, particularly. And I'll say the same so far for Wano. That chapter getting into Wano was so cool. I just loved the hell out of all the art. It had some good humor. And I mean, I have not been too disappointed so far at all. I'm a little disappointed to see desolate landscapes generally. It kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball. in that the one thing that usually disappoints me with Dragon Ball is the lack of creativity with the landscapes that they fight in. It's just nothing all around. And one thing Oda is usually great at doing is like, look at all these little things, all, like, or his assistants, like there's all this little stuff hidden everywhere. And there's some of that. But heading into the wasteland, I'm like a little bit apprehensive. I mean, other than that, we just had some of the newest designs from Otsuru and Kiku, whatever it is. Kiki. Kiku, I was right the first time. The designs are looking really cool, and I'm excited to see more of that kind of stuff. And ancient Japanese history is very interesting to me, so I'm looking forward to learning more about it in this arc, although I'm sure it'll be warped and incorrect. Yeah, any other thoughts on that? No.
I get what you're saying about the backgrounds, but I'm pretty sure that's just kind of that was a facet of where the adventure took Luffy briefly, because that was just kind of like the one chapter, right, where they were out in the open fighting.
I think they're still in the wasteland. I think the tea house is in the wasteland.
Well,
too.
yeah, but I mean, like before that, it was in the bamboo forest and the giant tree house and all that stuff was really neat.
Yeah, no,
so I'm not worried overall about it having too much of that, because I don't think that's what he wants to draw either.
No, and I think I'm just apprehensive. I'm seeing some things that Oda has done that typically go into a bad direction. He hasn't done anything yet. I'm like almost projecting onto him, like, this is kind of like how Fishman Island started, and that wasn't very well organized. This part is kind of like this, and that makes me apprehensive. So like, I don't, there's nothing I haven't enjoyed so far. I think I've been pretty up on it, but I'm just a little scared about, how this could go, but, we'll see. Organizationally, I think I'm like, I have no doubt we'll see some really cool shit. I'm just kind of worried that it'll, come together in a good way.
Well, if anything, it'll follow the usual One Piece formula of enticing beginning, slow middle, satisfying ending.
I think recently it's been, the enticing very beginning, but then like the kind of early part has been boring. I'm thinking particularly the Seducing Woods.
Fishman Island nosebleeds.
Fishman Island nosebleeds. Like, I think in the New World, it's not the middle that's been the dragging part. It's like that part, like just after the beginning. Like after Punk Hazard, after they see the dragon, there's like, I don't remember what happens between that and the middle.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have very little memory. I know they switch bodies, and that's about it.
I think if you, I think One Piece arcs, I think it's more likely you could separate them into 5-act structures than 3 acts. So I think it's Act 2 that tends to be a bit of a
but
Act
it used
2 or maybe
it used to be Act 3 or sometimes 4 that used to lull, and I think for whatever reason it's earlier in the New World, which turns people off more. I think Dressrosa might be different. I think Dressrosa, it lulled later. The Birdcage comes to mind. But, yeah. Anyway, so do you guys have any hopes or, fears or, what do you guys want to see out of Wano? What is the one thing you're like, I need Oda to draw this, to do this, to put the characters in this situation?
More poneglyphs.
Well, we know there's one more. That Kaido has. And we don't know what's on Wano, but yeah. Yeah. Steve, go ahead.
I'm sorry. All 9 of the Straw Hats interacting with each other.
10 Straw Hats.
10. Oh.
Jinbei, yeah.
Human Jinbei.
At this point, I stopped looking out the living room window hoping Uncle Jinbei would be driving down the road and into the driveway.
With his pack of cigarettes.
I'm back.
That explains his voice.
I'm not getting my hopes up, though. I would love it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He could wash up on the shores of Wano with a bunch of croquembouche.
He just carries croquembouche wherever he goes.
All the emperors like this.
Maddie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to tons and tons of Zoro and just him being cool. So
I'm guessing Ed also, you have the same opinion there.
Sure.
So yeah, Steven, what is your hopes and dreams for this arc?
Well, I would like to see. I'm curious about the like the Kozuki kind of their relation to the creation of the poneglyphs. Like, he laid those hints that they would have a deeper connection to like the background of the story beyond just this arc. So I'm kind of curious. I want to see that, but I think in a more kind of pragmatic sense, like I just want to see Kaido fleshed out, because I'm not like completely 100% sold on Kaido. Like, I don't think we've gotten like the full contours of Kaido's character profile, because at this point he's just kind of like a big scary looking guy. He looks like Khal Drogo, and he drinks a lot, and he acts irregularly. I don't, I think a lot of people who are super psyched about Kaido, it's all just based entirely on like he's the toughest guy, and there's a lot of people that are just like the toughest guy, like, oh shit, that's awesome. And it's just like that alone does not mean a lot to me. I want to see what that means in a scene. I want to feel what that actually corresponds to, in the manga itself. So I'm kind of looking for that, the rest of Kaido's characterization that will make it click for me.
And since we talked about Reverie for like an hour today, I'd be remiss if I didn't make a comparison to Wano and the Reverie. And I'd make that comparison in that Zoe was kind of like that part one to Wano in a strong way, especially if my prediction comes true that that Zunisha just stomps onto the shores of Wano carrying the entire Mokomo dukedom with them, which I think would be pretty damn awesome. I'm fine with being correct about a theory like that. But beyond that, there's a lot of setup we had. I definitely would like to know about the origin of the poneglyphs. I think we need a flashback of Odin in this arc.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like, I'd be severely disappointed, and I hope to come back to this episode at the end of the arc and be like, what did we get out of the things we wanted? I think I would be pretty damn disappointed if we didn't get that flashback. That seems like kind of a thing that needs to happen. I'd like to just I think we could also, this is an opportunity to get more of a backstory on, the ancient kingdom and its relation with Wano. Maybe it even is Wano, who knows? I mean, look, we're talking about someone in Japan writing about a Japanese island, so it wouldn't be too surprising if it were kind of at the center of things. There's a lot that I expect from this arc, because we have been talking about Wano for how long? When did it first come up?
Was it Thriller Bark? Was that the first mention with Ryuma?
Ryuma? I feel like it came up before that. I don't know. All right. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to mention with Wano? Ed?
I want to hear about these tarot cards.
Okay. So, time to tell the future. This might be extremely boring. It might be fun, and it's definitely going to be stupid. So,
what did you learn about tarot this week, Zach?
What did I learn about tarot? I learned nothing, but I have a booklet that tells me what to know.
What was Lucy's fortune or future?
I posted that. Lucy being my dog, for those who don't know, not the character Lucy, who's actually Luffy. I've definitely accidentally called my dog Luffy before, though. Let me see. So her fortune was incapacity, imprudence, dispute or ruin over a woman, who I assume is my wife, impulsive mistakes, conceited fool, simplicity, and disunion.
That's so bad.
She did just fart and it stinks, so that fits most of this.
And you predicted it.
And I predicted it yesterday.
Did this to yourself.
I did do this to myself. Damn it. So, I mean, the way that these tarot cards usually work is that there's 10 of them and they each mean a different thing. But that would get kind of boring. So this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to try and go along with you guys. First, let me explain the tarot deck. And I'm sure Steve, particularly, you are familiar with these, because if you were a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stardust Crusaders, you better know these. So the tarot deck has major arcana and minor arcana. Prepare to feel dorky. Here we go. The major arcana, I got ukiyo-e style decks, so hopefully I can show the pictures of what people get for their different questions. And remember, it means different things. We learned last week, the Fool reversed, for example, means something different than the Fool right side up. So the direction you get these cards mean different things, as we've learned, even though I think that's incredibly stupid. But the whole thing
I think of like The Simpsons, right? And Lisa gets like the happy squirrel.
Oh yeah.
Damn it.
Or what was it? The death card is. Oh no, that's good.
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is, it could be.
Yeah.
So the death card's not that bad.
It's not the tower card.
Oh, we'll
Joker.
get to that. So there's
Take those out of the deck.
the major. The major arcana are the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, which I still don't know what that is.
The High Priest.
The High Priest?
Yeah, it's a packeter.
That's what I think.
The Lovers, the Chariot. I just remember these from JoJo. Justice.
Man, I gotta watch some JoJo again.
Yeah, this just makes me want to rewatch part 3. Justice, the Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune. You don't want that one. He believes in, he doesn't believe in climate change. Strength, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil. That one's great. No, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. That's what it says here. It's the Japanese translation. And then you have the minor arcana, which are basically, Steven described this last week. They're basically like normal suits, but since these are ukiyo-e cards, we have the suit of swords. So you get a bunch of swords, whether you want them or not, with an ornately lacquered scabbard. But the finest scabbards were covered with tissue. Okay, it talks about ukiyo-e stuff for a while here, too. You get wands, which are Buddhist priest wands, not the ones you're thinking of. They're basically scepters. Scepters is a better word for it. You get cups, which are sake cups. And then, of course, the best one, where is it, are pentacles, which are not testicles. Ed.
5
Why
of
did you
them.
say that?
7 pentacles. And the pentacles are coins. So they're basically the ancient yen coins as represented on here. So this is how we'll do it. It might take me a while to figure out what each of the answers are, just because I just got these like 2 days ago. So cut
What are
me
the
some slack.
questions?
So you guys ask me the questions. You could ask me personal things. You could ask me One Piece things, and I will take a card and I will try and answer it. This is not the traditional method that these cards are used, but who gives a shit?
Yeah. I didn't think they were thinking about Skype.
Exactly. Hey, don't ruin. I thought it was Fourth Wall Stephen Paul's thing to ruin that.
That's my joke. That's my name, roast beef Zach. That I came up with.
We need one for Steve Yurko. Anyway. Jerk ass Steve Yurko. Anyway, who would like to ask the first question? Does anyone have does anyone want to hear their fortune? The future, the present, or the past?
Will we go back to space?
We could do the present, past, or future.
Jeez, just had to check Twitter to find the answer to that. Ed.
Yeah, we know when that's happening, Ed. I'm not doing that. Steve,
how
you want to go first? Yeah.
Can I just ask how the rest of my year is going to go?
The rest of your year. You've got A Four of Swords.
Cool. Legend of Zelda, Four Swords Adventure. I guess I better play it.
Okay, so the Four of Swords, it means the rest of the rest of your year will be rest after illness, repose, replenishment, and solitude. You'll have exile, retreat, and abandonment.
I already
Jesus.
feel that now, so
That sounds like about the same.
yeah, if I could, if I could try to tap into that. Let's see, I'm working freelance at the moment, so I'm just home all the time. So yeah, it is exile.
Okay, any other questions? If Steve has more, that's fine. If anyone else has one. I need questions in order to tell.
I do also desperately need replenishment.
Gatorade.
Can I get a similar one, but for like 2019?
Okay, let's see how 2019 will work for you, Maddie. You get the Hermit. Which character is that in JoJo again?
It's Joseph.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hermit Purple.
Yeah, I completely forgot. So they're right. I'll tell you if it's upside down. So your 2019 will be filled with knowledge, solicitude, which is a word I don't know off the top of my head, but it's different than solitude, I assume. Prudence, discretion, vigilance, circumspection, self-denial, also withdrawal, solitude, which is different than solicitude, esoteric knowledge, and a tendency to withhold emotion, and a failure to face the facts. 2019 for Maddie.
It's a lot to take in.
Well,
Face the facts.
it's a long year. A lot's gonna happen. Any other questions, Steven?
What's gonna happen to Zoro in this arc?
How is he going to end up in this arc? It's probably a better way to answer this.
What challenges will he face?
Here we
or
go.
What things?
He got a 9 of swords, which is actually
Awesome.
really appropriate. Isn't that Ashura? Isn't Ashura
Yeah.
the 9 of swords? That just tells you.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, right there.
Use
That should answer it.
Yeah.
Do I have to even read this?
He'll get 9 swords.
Nine sword style.
Okay, this is what he's getting. He's getting quarreling, believe it or not, unhappiness, concern, miscarriage,
Oh,
anxiety
Wow.
over a
Oh, my
loved
fan
one,
fiction.
Whoa.
over his miscarriage?
despair, and suffering. That sounds like a normal time for Zoro. So,
That's.
yeah.
I
We've
feel
been
like. I mean,
clamoring. Sorry.
no. I was just gonna say. I feel like if this is a Zoro arc, it is gonna be
Yeah.
difficult, just like Sanji's was. So,
Zoro has had a very easy time of it lately, so this sounds about right. And this
let's get as much crying Zoro as we got of crying Sanji.
these adjectives are all bad. There's not
We've
a
been
single good one
clamoring
there.
for him to be humbled for a while now. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe his anxiety is over Sanji. I loved you all along. Ed,
I missed you.
do you have a question, One
I wish
Piece
I
or
knew how to
personal?
quit.
I still say, are we going back to the moon?
Are we going back to the moon? Do you want a time?
in
Yeah.
This
in
isn't
One
an
Piece or in the
8-ball
world?
question.
No, next year.
You get reverse justice.
I
Sounds like
can't
a
wait
no.
to meet that
Wait.
admiral.
Yeah, reverse justice. Maybe Sakazuki is going to go to the moon upside down.
He's gonna moonwalk there.
Oh, I love it.
Hey.
I love it. We're not gonna beat that. So a reverse justice means, how am I gonna answer this question with these adjectives? Well, if it does happen, it'll be severe, bigoted, intolerant, and abusive,
Mm.
and potentially
What's that?
biased. So, that doesn't really tell me if it's gonna happen. Although it does use false accusation. Anyway, any other questions? Maybe better than, maybe ones I could answer better than Ed's.
Those sounded like they were more pertinent to like theories about the moon
Exactly.
than actually going to the moon.
Yeah.
Will Jimbei officially join the crew?
When? Like this year or just at all?
In the next year.
Okay, you ever reverse the moon? Which should have come up last time. Let's be honest.
You could hear the excitement in Zach's voice.
I'm so excited. Wait, what? I'm reading this upside down because it's upside down.
That's okay. That's the card. It's
yeah.
Upside down moon.
So, what was the question again?
Will Jinbei join in the next year?
So I'm gonna say no because it says that he will be a minor deception recognized before damage is done. He is a trifling mistake. You will gain without payment, and he's exploitative. So
Jesus.
Wow.
Jinbei,
of Jinbei, we don't know yet.
Trifling Jinbei.
Trifling Jinbei. It doesn't sound like it's happening anytime soon.
This is describing Oda's behavior in writing Jinbei's joining arc.
Any other questions? I'll keep going until you guys run out.
Will Lucy fart again?
Temperance. The temperance card. Lucy, I'm looking at you for this. She's giving me a face. Where are we? Temperance. Okay. She will fart in moderation. She will fart with patience. She will fart with accommodation. She will fart in harmony with perfect union, compatibility, adjustment, and she'll fart in good influence, like a mother image or a father image. She's a mother image, though. And she'll fart in confidence and complacency.
Man's best friend.
Truly, man's best friend. Any other questions?
I mean,
how are we going to beat a fart?
I know, it was a pretty good one.
Should we just end there?
I mean, we could. Maybe next week what we'll do... Oh, go ahead, Maddie.
No, I don't know. I was just going to do like a general...
Go for it.
Future of One Piece.
The general future. How will the series end? Is that what you're asking?
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, so that is a reverse three-sword style.
So...
Really?
Yeah.
Something with Zoro holding the swords backwards.
A reverse three-sword style. Oh my god. Oda is just distracting us. He's confusing us. He's creating disorder. It's a mistake. It's incompatible. We'll have separation anxieties, mental anxieties, loss, and alienation. That's
so
actually
the series is
after
over,
it
that's what
ends.
we're
I'm
doing.
assuming.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it is you meant when it after it ends.
Yeah.
So
After
should
it
I
ends,
should
we're
I
all
ask it
confused.
again? How will we feel about the ending? Maybe that's.
You're just gonna keep asking until we get a good answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
We got a 5 of cups.
Oh.
Five
Wow.
brothers. Wow.
Oh, yeah. The two hidden brothers.
The 5.
Yeah, the other two brothers, Trace and Lobo.
All right, here is how One Piece is going to end. It will end with partial loss. It will end with regret. It will end with friendship without meaning. It will end with a marriage without love. It'll end with inheritance of the will. It'll end with an incomplete union or partnership.
Jinbei is never joining.
Jinbei will never join.
I thought that was just describing us. We'll have a friendship without meaning. We'll just, life won't be grand anymore. Food won't taste as good. I don't want this series to end, guys.
Yeah, me neither. So what I'll do is, if you guys out there have questions about the future, send them in your piece the tweet or however you want. I'll have this deck of cards next week for you guys, and I will tell the future, but make it One Piece related, because I don't know who you are. Probably. I'll be posting the images of what cards we got, hopefully on Twitter or somewhere else, maybe the description. But for now, why don't we round off?
All right.
Why don't we?
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 532 for August 13th, 2018. Good show today, you guys. If Sam did indeed do the anime recap, thank you, Sam. And happy belated birthday to him. And Ash as well. It's apparently more people have their birthdays in August than I thought. Statistics, you know. Anyway, thank you all for joining us for our Reverie Wano / tarot reading spectacular episode. I had a lot of fun this week. Remember, you could ask what your future or present or past held or holds next week on our Piece Together segment. We'll return with the Piece Together segment, manga recap of chapter 914, our regular scheduled anime recap. That'll all be next week. If you have not, please also subscribe to us on Patreon. We should have a new episode for you available now. And the episodes of the read-through continue every Friday. Sorry, this one was a little bit late this week, but we're in Water 7, so give it a listen. And I think that'll do it. Maddie, how could the good people out there contact you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at That's Raspberry, where I post One Piece art a lot. You can also find me patreon.com/OhThat'sRaspberry, where for $5 you get a new postcard print every month in the mail. I'm also going to be at Crunchyroll Expo September 1st through 3rd. And I'll be cosplaying Reiju, so if you see me, say hi.
Steve, you'll be there.
I will be there from September 1st.
You'll also be cosplaying Reiju.
I hope. Oh, God. Steve, where can people find you?
Well,
did I give away too much there?
No, I got to get back in, skirt shape. So, also you could find me on social media like Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr at Steve Yurko. That's the username. And that's just that.
Well, you have Crunchyroll Expo coming up. You're going to be at Anime NYC in November. Do I know your con schedule?
Just an artist alley.
Yeah. I think
no
it's
panels or anything.
Is it too late to apply for those? I probably should if you want, Steve. I don't want to put you on the spot here.
I don't want to do a panel, not without my Zach.
Aw. I'll be on my honeymoon during Anime NYC, so I will not be there. So I had to mention the moon one more time. Steven, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
And Ed, where could the good people find us?
You are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. One Piece. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Our subreddit is r/OnePiecePodcast, so leave us some piece together there. And you can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
That phone number is 347-497 Maji. That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime. With your questions, your comments, your theories, and I have gotten that they would include a reverse The Lovers. Yes, that's the card I have gotten to end this show with.
Called The Haters.
It's for all the haters out there. The haters mean, we have failed to meet the test. We are unreliable. We are going to be separated. Well, I guess that's going to end our show then for this week.
Oh no, that's already happened.
My name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.